Just how do you feel overall about the move, the co-offensive line coordinator move?
Well, under these circumstances, my first thoughts go out to Tony's family. We're very close. Tony was a mentor. He was a friend of mine, somebody I really looked up to, and somebody that really helped me in my development as a coach. So, under these circumstances, it's tough. It's been a rough week, losing somebody so close and somebody that was so important to this organization. But I am excited for the opportunity to coach a great group of guys, coach guys that want to work hard, want to win. So it's been fun so far.
What are the key lessons that you can continue to impart that you learned from Tony?
Just to, trust what you know, and then to just go out and have fun with it. I mean, it's football. It's still football. It's still a lot of fun. And these guys are passionate, and to be passionate about what you're doing and be passionate about what you're teaching. It's the one thing Tony, every day, no matter what, he had a passion for what he was doing, and that's something that I always want to mimic.
How tough has that been for you, kind of dealing with the emotional side while also kind of having to maybe increase your responsibilities?
I think the thing is you recognize that you still have a job to do, and you still have to be a professional, and there are a lot of people still looking your way. There are 15 guys in that room, 17 guys in that room that are looking your way, and that's something that you have to focus on.
What was it like those first few days? I mean, is there any talk of football, or is it just?
The first few days, the thought was to be there for Jeanette and Andy and Tony Jr. and Ryan, and then when it was time to go to work, we had to go to work, and that's part of doing this job, and that's part of what Tony would have wanted us to do. He would want us said go back to work. It's time to go to work.
What kind of response have you had from the players?
I think it's been excellent. We have a great room. We have a great group of guys from the top to the bottom. The leadership, they understand the job we have to do, and they understand the responsibility we have to this organization, to this fan base, and to Tony. Mm-hmm. And there is a foundation set here, and there are expectations that every one of us have to live up to.
Have you guys discussed having two voices to deliver one message, or any kind of philosophical approach?
Oh yeah, I mean, Clancy, he's a great guy, a lot of experience in this league. He has a Super Bowl ring. So we're going forward. We plan everything out. We talk everything through. Whatever comes up, we come to a decision, and we go with it with one message. And that's been the key thing so far. Is there's two voices, but there's one message, and it's been great. It's been great working with him. He's a good guy, good football coach, and he's passionate about what he does.
How cathartic was it to work with the guys?
I think it was fine. These guys were right. They came back. We went to the funeral, and then our focus turned. Not that we forgot. But our focus had to turn because it's training camp, and it's time to go.
Just jumping into some players, I know you're involved in the pre-draft process. What was it about Brian O'Neill that intrigued you guys, and just how has he looked so far as a rookie?
Brian's come in. He's acted like a pro. I mean, if you wouldn't know any better, the way he prepares, the way he studies, you think he'd been in the league for a while. He's an athletic kid. He's a kid with a lot of upside. A kid with a lot of room to develop, but he's a guy that's he's strong, he's big, he's fast, he's smart, he's very smart. He's something that you look for when you're trying to draft an offensive lineman.
How much were you looking forward to the pads going on to get more evaluations of all the linemen?
You always look, when you take that offensive line mentality, that's what you want. You want the pads to go on. It's time to get physical. Football it's a physical, collision, fast sport, and that's how you play football.
Flip talked about the other day about Brian O'Neill kind of anchoring better and everything. How have you kind of seen him progress here this summer?
We've seen him progress a lot. Everything that we've coached, that we've tried to develop, he's taking to. He's gotten stronger. Our strength staff's doing a great job with him. He's taken to everything we've coached, and it's just a development. It's just where he can progress as a player, and he knows what he has to do to get to where he wants to go, and he's really striving for that.
Can you talk about pretty much the classy decision the Vikings made about concerning not bringing in somebody from the outside, to trust the two of you to do the job?
Well, like I said, it's been an emotional 2 weeks, but I thank Coach Zim for giving Clancy and I this opportunity to work with to work with this group of men, and I thank Rick and the Wilfs for having the faith in us to come in and get the job done.
Do you think that continuity was important?
I do think continuity is important, keeping the room the same, trying to keep the language, the foundation and the fundamentals that we've been working on here for the last couple of years, keeping that all the same, and building from that foundation rather than starting over.
The lessons you're going to take from working under Tony?
The biggest thing is his passion and the way he cared about his players. The X's and O's. He was a great coach. I mean, he won the division when he was a head coach. He's been a head coach twice, coordinator. So the X's and O's, that's all there and that's all great. But I think the biggest thing is the way he cared about his players. The way you can coach tough, you can push your players, but also really care for them as people.
Talk about
I don't know if you address this or not, but do you feel an added responsibility with Clancy, knowing that you're taking it for Tony? Is it like that emotional and personal responsibility too, that this is yours?
Yeah, I mean, we know that Tony set the foundation for this room, but now it's Clancy and I's turn to take ownership and use what we've learned from him and use the basis that he had installed and then run with it from there.
I know a lot of the players are saying it's been seamless that way.
We're trying to keep keep the foundation what we have built and run with that from there and try to keep the terms the same, keep the way he spoke to the players the same, so they're not learning from a different voice. Rather, it's the same type of voice, saying the same words, saying the same language. So they don't have to adjust their learning. We can adjust our style a little bit so they don't have to adjust their learning.
And it's good for you to have Clancy along with you for that.
It's fantastic. I said before, the guy, you have a Super Bowl ring, something. He's been around this game for a long time. He's been around this league for a long time. It's fantastic that Clancy and I get to work together, and the opportunity we get to work together and to be able to learn and take some of his knowledge and his experience into that room.
Last couple for Andrew.
You talked about O'Neal's upside and the talent, but realistically, how far is he for you guys to push for a starting spot?
I mean, right now it's our second day in pads. We still have preseason games. There's a lot of evaluation period left before I could really even answer that question. Whether it's out here or upstairs, there's still a lot of time left as far as evaluation period, opportunities to evaluate Brian before we can really make that decision. But he is progressing. He's getting better every day.
Obviously, like Pat Elflein coming out, but are you still surprised a little bit to see how quickly he's kind of jumped into not only the starting spot, but a tough position too on the offensive line as a center?
Yeah, Pat, but that's what Pat wanted. Pat came out, he took the bull by the horns. He won it last year, and he's taken the same mentality with his rehab. The way he works with that, it's that's Pat. That's who he is. He's a competitor, no matter what he's doing in the classroom, in the weight room, in the training room, on the field. That's what Pat does, and that's what happens when you compete like that good things happen to you.